cheers, everyone. Happy Sunday, and thank you so much for joining us live. I guess you can see a very different smile on my face today altogether. The reason being, I believe, yes, the Quarkus World Tour, we welcome here in India, and definitely what not, it's special it can be. It's on Friendship Day. So, people, I always believe a friendship is born at the moment when one person says to another, what? You too? I thought I was the only one. And I believe in open source world, everybody thinks the same way. Everybody wants to contribute. Everybody, we feel to help each other. And that's where we call friends. So today we are here with the network of friends. We are here to serve you all with the knowledge, with the like amount of work that we are doing. So Team Cheers with Gaurav is all geared up you to welcome you to the Quarkus World Tour 2021 India stop. So this is happening for the first time and whatnot. As people said, yes, we are super excited, and people, please feel free to comment and share love for all the viewers who are people are here joining. Invite your friends. This 2 hours, trust me, gonna be so amazing for everyone, not as a professional, not as a friend, not as an individual, but we all as a community people. Trust me, you're going to love it and you're going to enjoy it. So I believe all of you would agree to one thought, that when I started this initiative called Cheers with Gaurav, we came out with an objective that we are not going to just serve the communities, we are going to empower others, because friendship is all about that. It's not about just you learn, you keep it to yourself. It's all about spreading the right words and, more importantly, empowering others. So charity begins at home. So I'll bring my family members to talk to you about what was their experience. First of all, like the first one I'm gonna introduce, as you can see in the video also. So we have a couple of my team members joining us today. So let's bring Ananya, who is first year like grad, and she wants to talk about why community work is all important. So hey Ananya, happy Sunday, welcome,
Hello,
cheers.
thank you. Cheers.
So what do you think, Ananya? Means hello, hola. The languages are different, but what do you think about communities?
This community is, we were talking about community. So,
Right.
being a part of any community, any beneficial for any student, as it gives us a chance to communicate or collaborate with people with different mindsets and interests, and it helps us to explore more. Also,
Right.
for all graduates, confidence, a way to present ourselves is very important to gain success and being part of this group. We surely help in
Right.
that. For every student, a network is a network. So building is
Yes.
a good network, and net connection is very important. And attending, taking part in conferences will surely help you to build a strong network. Being a part of
Yes.
such community is always a plus point because you have people who are always ready to help and collaborate. We just need to ask. So this is the answer of my why communities and this much is important for us.
Right, right. You made a valid statement, and you, as a first year, I guess when you reached out to me and we were deciding that why we should, your same answer. The network is net worth, and that belief to learn from the conferences doing networking is something that everybody can achieve for. Let's bring out your one of your senior who has me you to connect each other, and let's hear it from him that what he thinks that Quarkus is that leading platform or not. Hey Anant, how are you doing, man?
Uh,
Cheers, buddy. You are on mute now.
Konnichiwa, people. I think I'm audible.
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
you are. Yes, man.
Okay. So, like, I'll
Okay.
try to explain everything in very basic. So, because many of us are, whoever is joining are maybe from college also. So, okay. So, Quarkus is basically a Kubernetes native Java stack, which is designed for serverless application delivery. And like Quarkus lets us develop application using RESTful APIs with little or no configuration, and also without worrying about the bootstrapping of the complex environment which we are spinning up. And also, like, for everyone, like, you don't have to learn everything there is to know about Quarkus or cloud or edge computing. Okay, like, basics is like a very good way to start with Quarkus, I think. And getting to know Quarkus will also help in speeding up your development, and as well as you will produce flexible productions in the modern computing network. Yeah.
Right. And thank you so much, Anand, for like helping us out in just a brief, because we have a specialized speaker to talk us about more and more about Quarkus. So we'll take her help and understanding that. But now I want to introduce someone who has pushed me hard for bringing this in event to India, and that is none other than our colleague Kartike. So hey, Kartike, why do you think Quarkus World Tour to India? I guess your efforts are getting paid off, man. So thank you so much for pushing us hard. So Kartike, why Quarkus World Tour? Yeah, please.
Hello everyone. So first of all, I would like to welcome you all to the Quarkus World Tour India. So for this World Tour, the Quarkus World Tour kicked off officially in 2021 March, and this provides a unique hands-on experience for Java developers across the globe. The goal of this tour is to introduce Quarkus to Java developers and set them down the path of creating applications and participating in the community. So this global tour takes an entire community to ensure its success. So we can successfully say that Quarkus World Tour is a unique hands-on experience with access to Quarkus expert, which helps us getting started with Java in a Kubernetes world. And personally, I feel that this World Tour is going to be helpful for a lot of users here in India and across the globe.
Right. You made the right statement. As believe we at Cheers with Gaurav always believe in one statement, that one world, one community. And I guess Quarkus is bringing that technology as an X factor or an addition to that motto as well. So we have taken the enough time, but let's officially greet our speakers. So let's bring our speakers on the screen and officially welcome them. And let's hear it from the first, that what we are going to learn about Quarkus and other parts, right? So, hey Soumya, hey Flip, how are you all doing?
Hi
Hello, hello,
everyone. Hi
hello.
everyone. I'm really very super duper excited to talk about the coolest new Java technology of 2021, that is Quarkus. And yeah, we will be starting shortly about the introduction. Then Philip will be sharing some interesting demos around it. So yeah, very excited.
So,
Yeah,
Flip,
from my
and
side,
yes, yes,
yeah, I
please.
just want to say hello and thanks for the opportunity to be with you today. I'm all the way from South Africa, so if my accent is a bit weird, English is my second language as well. Yeah, and I'll show some demos a bit later, and I hope it's you enjoy it.
Yeah. So thank you so much. So I believe team. So when I say team, we all are like from one. But yes, I believe Flip is here. So let's introduce him in the traditional Indian way by welcoming him by just saying namaste, right? And then let's kick off this event, right? So Ananya, Kartike, Anand, Soumya, everybody, welcome everyone. The Welcome Quarkus World Tour to India. Namaste, everyone. And thank you
Namaste.
so
Namaste.
very much for joining us. Namaste and thank you. Wonderful. So let's hear it from Soumya. So, Ananya, why don't you tell our viewers who Soumya is? And while we all get on the backstage, over to you both. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So, over to
Yeah.
you, Ananya.
So,
Please. Uh,
yeah. So now it's a time to introduce our first guest speaker, a young associate software engineer with leadership and development skills, passionate to working for with the communities. She was the finalist for Red Hat Open Source Academic Award because of her leadership skills and contributions to communities. She has also mentored open source enthusiasts to get into GSOC at the Kharagpur Winter of Code 2019. Not over yet. Let me present in front of you developer advocate content creator at Anita B organization open source teams. Welcome, winner of 5 plus hackathons from Smart India Hackathon and Delhi Police Hackathon 2019. Yes, we are talking about the finest tech girl, Somna Singh. So now it's time to Somna Singh to come up and provide some information and introduction to Quarkus to our lovely audience. Welcome,
Thank
Somna.
you. Yeah, thank you so much for the lovely introduction, Ananya. That was really great to
Thank you.
hear. Yeah, so I will try to share my screen now. Okay,
Yeah.
let me know if it is perfectly visible. Okay, and share. So, are you able to see the screen now?
Yeah.
right? Okay, perfect. So let's get started. And okay, so once again, hello and welcome everyone to this exciting session of Quarkus World Tour hosted by one and only the CWG team. I hope you all are doing great. You all are celebrating your Sunday in an amazing way. So today we are going to talk about the coolest new Java technology of 2021, that is Quarkus. So, in today's talk, in a very short time, you are going to learn about that product of Red Hat, which has won the Gold STV American Business Award in the category of Best Software Solution. And among several other awards and nominations, Quarkus has also won the Best Innovation in Code Frameworks Davies Award 2020. So these are the pointers that we will see today. I will give context of why Quarkus, what's the need of Quarkus, and what problem it is solving in the whole world. Okay, and I will try to keep it very simple, very basic, because I know most of you are like engineering student as well. So I will start with very basics, and like most of you are open source enthusiasts as well. So I will try to cover the how to contribute to Quarkus part as well, how to get involved in this amazing and beautiful community. And after that, our very own expert, Philip, who is from the Quarkus team, will present some interesting demos, will be showing the dev mode, the hot reload, and many, many awesome features around Quarkus. So be with me, and I'm sure you will enjoy learning about Quarkus today. Okay, so Quarkus is open source and it's a modern framework to write Java applications, and particularly these type of applications, cloud native microservices and serverless. If you talk about the theoretical definition, so it's a full stack Kubernetes native Java framework which is made for JVMs. It helps in optimizing Java specifically for containers and enable it to become an effective platform for cloud, serverless and Kubernetes environment. So, well, it can for sure help you build your large, long monolith Java apps as well. But as a vision for the project, these areas are where we focus more and put priority. So, yes, with the like help of Quarkus, you can have Java code that runs with the same speed as those fast programming languages like C++, Golang, etc. Well, maybe this doesn't sound much interesting because we have actually somewhere known that we can write Java code that runs with the same speed as C++. But what I actually mean is how cool it will be if the code will fit in the same memory footprint and disk footprint and start incredibly fast. And this is just a like a small feature around Quarkus. It has much more awesome stuff around it. We will see one by one what they are, and of course Philip is there to demo those features to us, right? So, in my opinion, like understanding the history around Java will help us better understand the need of Quarkus. So, if you remember, many were talking like Java is dead, is no more popular, and all, right? So, Java for enterprise level project is somewhere like slow, fat, and whatnot. So, these statements were very common about Java, that Java is no longer competitive in container and serverless environments. And indeed, cloud has posed a lot of challenges to Java. But have a look at this article that talks about Java being not dead yet. As per these surveys, even in 2018, as you can see, Java was second most popular language, and it was at number one in 2017, right? These are the authorized reports by well known institutes and companies. So, before I move ahead, I have a few very easy and interesting questions that maybe you would have studied in your like school or university. So the team will figure out who answers correctly, and first. Okay, so you have to just write your answer in the comment section over there. So, okay, so first question is very easy. When was Java developed? When it came in the world? And another follow up question is, who is the father of Java? So, take your time, and the team will note down who answered correctly and first. Okay, and I am moving ahead. Okay. So I hope most of you would have answered correctly that it came in 1995 and is still going strong, right? And still, there is so much goodness in this framework. It is a full ecosystem with libraries, tools, and these things keep Java so viable, right? But in many use cases, it's sometimes slow. And it's here since so long, somewhere it is showing the age, right? But here is the challenge when it comes to all those libraries, frameworks, and all those technologies, then Java is going to put on a little bit weight. When we start building enterprise applications using Java and start using those advanced features like dynamic class loading, so it becomes a bit slow. And of course, as a developer, you don't want to ruin your experience developing apps, right? So if you look at these codes, these are available there online on the internet. So if you try to run Java in a serverless way, now this is very, very important. Let's say you want to run Java in a serverless architecture like Amazon Lambda, you will find comments like this on the internet. Like, what does it take to run a Spring Boot in Amazon Lambda? And there are comments like, why would you ever do that? Like, you should never use Java with Amazon Lambda. You should never use Java with serverless architecture. You should only use those fast programming languages like JS, Go, C++, Python, etc. And that's how and why Quarkus, the supersonic subatomic Java, came into picture. We are evolving Java for serverless and containers. You can go serverless with Java. So this is where we introduced Quarkus as a supersonic Java. It's 10 times faster and 100 times smaller in many cases. It's very it's vastly lighter weight than the Java you have before, especially for enterprise style use cases. And yes, as I said before, it's very fast and like 100 times smaller. So here goes some quick benefits of Quarkus. It has lower memory usage and faster startup time. It is optimized for short-lived processes and it integrates Kubernetes native very, very efficiently. And of course, there are enough cool features around Quarkus related to developers as well. If you talk about the performance, so performance is awesome. Like it has amazing boot time, incredibly low RSS memory. Quarkus tailors your application for GraalVM and hotspot, and it has instant scale up and high density memory utilization as well. So, Quarkus framework and extensions, when combined together, results in an outstanding performance. It becomes even more powerful. It results in reduced unneeded overheads. It migrates some startup code to build time and also makes code Kubernetes aware and more Graal friendly. Even the hard work of using Graal is made easier since the extension frameworks generate the adapter code, config, etc. at the build time. And there are core extensions that are part of Quarkus, and there are many more which are community created and owned. So you may have heard sometimes that maybe Quarkus is just for small apps or is just a native compiler, but let me tell you, it is so much more. It is not just for new apps, it's applicable for all forms of Java applications, new, old, web based, desktop, and even CLIs as well. And it is not just for new apps. It is like, of course, as I said, it's applicable to all forms of Java apps, and not only for it's not just a native compiler, it is like optional. Use it where it makes sense, and it's much easier with Quarkus. And it's not just another framework, it is a practical vision of modern Java, bringing together all the parts we need to build the next generation of Java masterpieces. And it's not only for a small app, it scales across all the range. So let's move ahead. Yes, it is supersonic subatomic Java, crafted from the best of breed Java libraries and standards. So in brief, these are the benefit that Quarkus brings to devs, to its users. So first and foremost is the developer joy. So we wanted the developers to be very productive. We wanted devs to feel the joy when they use Quarkus, when they develop something using Quarkus. So Quarkus as a framework will definitely give you a great experience. You will find things very easy and very quick. It gives you helpful and correct error messages when you do things wrong while developing your app. And the best part is it gives fast feedback, especially like when I write code, let's say I miss a semicolon or something. So it gives very instant feedback to your code, like what's wrong in which line, etc. And the second is supersonic subatomic Java. It basically means two things. First, Quarkus has very low memory footprint, and second, it's very fast. These two things are very, very important when it comes to the cloud native world. It unifies imperative and reactive programming models. Quarkus is reactive down to the core since it's based on Vertex and Netty, and it uses a bunch of reactive frameworks and extensions on the top to help developers. And finally, Quarkus incorporates and optimizes a lot of libraries that we all use in our daily work to be more productive, to become more efficient. All right, and to get a picture of it, these are some of the libraries, frameworks that we support. You can see the big names here. We have like Netty, Vertex, Kubernetes, OpenShift, and so much more. So yes, also Quarkus focus very heavily on to make things work on Kubernetes. And this is where developer joy comes into picture for the win. Quarkus offers you less boilerplate, better defaults, and container-centric development approach. And trust me, you have never seen hot code replace like this before. So yes, Quarkus is continuously growing up. Of course, we can check all these things like a startup time, memory footprint through the J console as well. And indeed, Quarkus makes Java run better in container and serverless environments as well. So look at this picture. This is quite important. This is how usually frameworks work. Like they have a very small build time and they have a large and long runtime. Okay, and if you look at the Quarkus way of doing the same thing, so Quarkus almost does nothing at runtime, and somewhere this is the secret. Like it perform all the work once and not at each start, and it takes less time to start, and of course less memory is used therefore, and all the bootstrap classes are no longer loaded with Quarkus. Now, if you talk about Quarkus as a community, so Quarkus is a community of over 501 committers, and it is still growing. All are open, practical, inventive, and inclusive. Not all from Red Hat, and that's the beauty of Quarkus. that's just Quarkus. Like contributors of Quarkus are from everywhere. They are not just from Red Hat, right? And if you talk about the unique Red Hat angle of Quarkus, so obviously, Quarkus, being a product of Red Hat, follows all the open source principles, the community guidelines of it. And for Red Hat, open source is a way to change the world for the better, and we are trying to do the same with the help of this super cool product, Quarkus. Moving ahead, so this is the Quarkus World Tour. If you want, you can also be a part of it in multiple ways. Like the goal of it is to introduce Quarkus to as many communities, as many Java developers around the world as possible in 2021. And if you want, like, you can check the official website of Quarkus. You can get more information, how to be a part of it, etc. And okay, so I assume that like you would be very much excited to look into like how to contribute to Quarkus, etc. So let me show you. Okay, this is the like on GitHub. This is where you can like get the URL. You just have to type like GitHub Quarkus and you will get the URLs. Over here you can see these are the top languages which the project uses. And let's have a look at this repository. So I know like sometimes if you are especially in like first year or second year of university, so it becomes difficult to even use GitHub, because I have been through that phase, so I completely understand. So this is the open source repository of Quarkus, and you can see the languages it is using. It's mostly like using Java. Okay, and if you want to contribute to it, so obviously you have to go to the issue section, and as a like beginner, you can try maybe here you can go to the labels and maybe good first issue. So I'm writing just first, and here is the label. So you will click on it and you will see here there are bunch of issues that are like good first issue. And like if I contribute to any new project, any new open source project, so I prefer getting started with the like documentation related issues at first, because getting into very complex and very big issues in the starting is not a very like cool thing. First we should get started with small things and then we can proceed accordingly, right? So yes, like you can put the filter and you can read the issues, go ahead and like read them, make PRs for them. You can comment on those issues and developers will be there to help you out. So this is the interesting and easy thing. And like this is the website of Quarkus, you can see, and like guides, everything are very simple and easy to follow. You can go ahead in the guide section. There are a bunch of like significant guides. They are very clean, crisp, and easy to understand. You can go ahead and check them out. And if you want to create your like first application or something using Quarkus, so that's also very easy and like very interesting. So like Philip will cover all those parts, like how to develop your first app, and like he will show everything to you all. And if you want to discuss something with the community, so all the developers of Quarkus, they hang out on the Zulip. So here you can see like there are several channels, etc. You can go on developers, like user, if you have to ask any question or something, you can just make a channel here. I mean, you can just create a topic here and ask from the developers, and they will be there to help you out. So this was a very basic thing to get started to like contributing to Quarkus if you are interested in doing that. And of course, as a prior step, is something like you should know how to use Git and GitHub, and this channel, like this community, also the Cheers with Gaurav community, has also very awesome videos around it, like how to contribute, etc. So you can watch them to get knowledge. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you want to like filter something as per your skills, like if you want to check if Quarkus has some repos around any other languages in which you are expert, so you can just put the filter, etc. Right? And coming back to our slides here. So if I talk about the conclusion thing, so like we all know that Java was born in mid 1990s, and it has nearly like 20 years of optimizations for running highly dynamic monolithic monolithic applications, and it still remains popular among developers. However, we now live in a world which is dominated by cloud, open source, where container, Kubernetes, microservices, and cloud native application development is strongly recommended to deliver higher levels of productivity and efficiency, right? So we need to rethink how Java can be best utilized to address these new deployment environments and application architectures. Quarkus makes it possible to like employ a more flexible microservices based approach to building Java applications that don't adversely affect performance, that don't adversely impact performance. So here you can see, to stay like updated about the new releases, updates around Quarkus, you may check out the official Twitter handle of Quarkus. And like feel free to share your learnings from this session, like from the intro part. And like we have even more interesting thing coming next, by like Philip will be demoing all the interesting features around Quarkus, how to use it. And yes, we already have like so many interesting stuff coming up, so stay tuned. And yes wait a minute, I am trying to see how to stop sharing a screen. And if you have any doubts around it, like so you can ask from us. Okay, stop sharing. Cool.
Yeah, that's great. That's
Yes.
great.
Yeah.
So
So
I
I
have a
hope like,
question.
yeah.
Yeah, I have a question. As a beginner, what are the languages or technologies we have to know to contribute in Quarkus?
Okay, so I have been through that phase, so I can definitely answer that. I mean, I'm also a class of 2021. I graduated this year. So in universities, we know that we are taught those basic programming stuff, like we have Java and like etc. Okay, so I would say if you want to contribute to Quarkus, so what I did, I was like I had a like good knowledge, decent knowledge of Java. So I go there and saw the repository. I started first with the documentation related issues, and they really give you a good start. And before that, one more important thing is to build the Quarkus repository on your like local machine. Like sometimes this is also very important. Like it took me, I would say, one day to completely like read the documentation and set it up on my local machine. So that's the step one. You should do it like with ease. And if you face any difficulty, of course you can ask the developers, Quarkus developers over there. So I took a lot of help from them, and they helped a lot. And then like if you have a decent knowledge of Java, then you can move ahead. After the documentation related issues, you can switch to other tasks as well. Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yes, and
Okay,
other
let's
things you can,
see.
yeah,
Hmm.
like other things you
Yeah,
can
tell
learn
me.
on the go as well. Like if you see some tasks related to like HTML, JS, etc., so you may like watch a few tutorials and then start working on those issues, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
so let's take in live questions from the viewers.
Yeah.
I have a question. As it is 10x faster, can we use this in CP?
Competitive programming. Okay, so if you're doing competitive programming, so for that, I would say it's not a programming language. I mean, in CP we have we either use C++, Python, Java, etc. Right? So we have to use either of those programming languages for the competitive programming thing. Yeah.
Okay. Any other question? How can we use Kubernetes with Quarkus?
Yeah, so for that we have like a very detailed on the Quarkus website. Also, we have a detailed blog, a detailed article about it, like how to use Kubernetes with Quarkus. And maybe if like CWT team is ready, so like in it will take it will take a long time to cover. I mean, we can demo that part as well, like how to use Kubernetes with Quarkus. We can demo that part maybe in a different session or something. And if you want to get started with that, so there are detailed guide and blogs available. So I will put that in the comment section if you want. Like I showed you the Quarkus website. So there in the like guide section, you can get the detailed blog article how to get started with it. Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
Quarkus meant for microservice only?
Not only microservices. No.
Okay. So
Okay.
this is over. I hope everyone get the answers of their questions.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
I guess before Soumya and Ananya, you guys take it on. I was jumping out of the seat here, listening to the comments. And yes, as Sonu rightly said, Soumya, what a great session and a nice and a descriptive PPT. More power to you, Soumya. You always does this thing. Means this is not a surprise to me that you did it so well because we have been collaborating a lot and the energy in the audience is still the same. So I don't want to lose the people the hope that yes, now we have a demo up lined up, and people please feel free to drop your questions in the chat. As of now, we'll bring on the other speaker because we want to take on that time as well because we want to show you that how you can create the demos and other parts, right? So thank you, Somya, for 1 minute break. You take a break, have some water and all, and we'll bring
yay,
you back
yes.
on the stage at some moment, right?
Yeah, I
And
will not
thank you
go
so much.
for water. Like
Yes,
I
please.
will, yeah, I will watch the demo by Philip. I'm very much excited for that. But yeah, I will sit here
Right.
only. I will not go for water.
Anytime, anytime. But we'll enjoy from the back seat. And thank you so much, Ananya, for
Yeah,
hooking that
Yeah,
part up, right?
thank you.
So, as people said, so guys, please make some noise for Soumya. And while I'll bring some another member of my team, hey Kartike, what we have next up in our story?
Hey everyone.
Yeah.
So
Hey.
next up, I'll introduce a very experienced member from the that team. So Philip is an accomplished software developer and architect, offering experience in creating systems in various industries ranging from banking, insurance, rewards program, retail, and mobile. So he works for Red Hat as a principal software engineer, where he spent most of his time on microprofile, SmallRye, Quarkus, and other projects. Philip has an extensive experience in full stack development and a passion for clean code and evolutionary architecture. He loves Java, Linux, and open source. So I think that last statement pretty much sums up his passion for this project. So let's not waste any more time and bring in Philip Kruger.
Hey, thanks for the introduction. I'm going to jump right into it if it's okay with the demo.
Yeah.
Yes, Philip. But before you jump, Philip, I am back because I cannot hold up my nerve. We just want to say thanks again. And for all the
Okay.
viewers, please feel free to drop your questions so that towards the end we have some amazing questions, all your doubt resolved while Philip do the things. And Philip, welcome to India. We can understand for the first time you are here. So thank you so much for joining our hand and guiding your all knowledge and showing us this part. So thank you so much, and your screen is also up and visible. Thank you so much. Over to you.
Okay. Thanks. So I'm going to start by showing you how I create or how you can create an application, and then we'll start building the application, I'll show a basic dev mode and the hot reload and the dev UI. And then I'll show continuous testing. And then I'll show you how fast it can start in a native execution. And then lastly, I'll show you dev services. So this is all things around developer productivity to make a developer more productive. Right, so to create an application, you have a few options. You can go to Quarkus.io, the website, and then just click on Start Coding. And this takes you to code.quarkus.io. And then that's like a starter website that you can say, right, I want to create a new application, and you give it your group ID, artifact ID, what you want to build it with. I usually use Maven. And then you can select the extensions that you want. So in my case, what I'm going to show you, I've basically started off with selecting JAX-RS and then OpenAPI. So those two selected. And then once you've selected it, you can generate your application either by downloading it or pushing it directly to GitHub. So I've done that part already. I'm not going to show that, but just so that you know how to do this. Then before I show you the application, another way that you can create an application, and this is since Quarkus 2, you have a command line. So you can actually just do, if you install the command line, you can do Quarkus create app. And this will create a very basic app for you. But you have obviously more things you can do in the command line by specifying what extensions you want and list the extensions and so on. But you can see that I already have an application here, right? So that's another way to create it. Okay, so what I've done is I've created an application using code.quarkus, and then this is my application. So what we have is a very basic REST endpoint, JAX-RS endpoint. Let me do this. So if you know JAX-RS or Spring Web, you'll know that to create a REST endpoint, you really just annotate your endpoints with @path or something similar like this. This @tag is an OpenAPI annotation that just describes this endpoint a bit more. And I have an endpoint that just returns hello world. Okay, so then I also got some test cases that came with my generated project where I test that endpoint. And you can see how easy it is to create a test in Quarkus. You just basically say this is a Quarkus test, and then you hit your endpoint. So I'm going to go ahead and start this application. And I'm going to start it in dev mode. So to do that, I do Maven Quarkus and dev. So this starts the application in dev mode, and from now onwards, I can actually make code changes, and I never have to stop the application, recompile, and restart the application. I can actually see my changes immediately. So as soon as this has started, let me just double check that I've shown you everything. Yeah, so maybe while this is starting, what I wanted to show you is all the extensions that is available, and there's quite a lot of extensions available. So everything that you can think of, there's an extension for it. And if you can't find it here, you can also go to Quarkus, which is a community-based, not official core Quarkus extensions, but other extensions built by the community that's just hosted here at Quarkus. And there's also a bunch of extensions. So if you have an idea for an extension, you can also commit or contribute that to Quarkus. Right, so my application is started. You can see that it's up and running. And if I go to localhost now, I'll see the welcome page. And this page has also been generated by code.quarkus.io or your command line app creation. Now, there's not much to it. You can delete this file. It's just an index file. But you can see already that it tells me that I have a dev UI. So this comes with, if you start your application in dev mode, you get this dev UI by default. And this is just a nice way to see what extensions do you have and to do some configuration changes. So this will list all the config currently in your application, and you can change it right here. It will show you all the beans that's being created, and if you have, for example, if you have events, you can manually fire an event and so on. It has links to the guides. So for configuration, if you want to understand how configuration works, you can just click on the guide, and then it takes you straight to the config guide, and it tells you, you can go through the guide. The thing that we're interested in is Swagger UI and OpenAPI, and those exist because we added the OpenAPI extension. So if I go to Swagger UI, you will see that I have my hello endpoint, and I can test it out, and it says hello world. Now I can go and look at this resource again, and I can say hello India. And then if I execute this again, it says hello India. So what happened in the background is it actually updated the code. And this hot reload for code exists for code and static resources and configuration and your POM changes. So if you add a new extension, it will detect that and it will hot reload. So basically you never have to actually stop your application again. You start working in the morning, start your application, and as you develop, you can actually see the changes. So what happened now is that I actually broke my test because my test is testing for hello world. And because I'm using dev mode, I don't see my test, because usually if I had to stop and rebuild, the rebuild would have run the tests and I would see that I've broken something. So to make that better, we have a new concept called continuous testing. And this is what you see at the bottom here. When you start your application in dev mode, it says test pause. And I can actually start the tests now as well. So now I have a dev mode running. I can make changes. And as I make changes, it will also tell me if I break something. So now you can see that the initial test is passed. So it's all green. And if I change this now again, it will pick up that I've made a change, and it will say that my test has failed. So I can then obviously go and fix my test or my code, and then it will tell me again. So you can still do test first development, but in this dev mode way, which is obviously very cool. The other thing that you can do is you can, as we started it with Quarkus dev, you can start it up with Quarkus test, which means you don't have dev mode, but as you code, it continuously runs your test cases and tells you when you break something, which is also very cool. And then you will also see in dev mode, in dev UI, I mean, that at the bottom here, you will see that the test is running. So everything that you see here in command line, you can also see in your dev UI right here, and you can see it in a big, a full screen as well. So here I can see that my test is running, and then if I break it again, now it's broken, and I can actually now see that this doesn't match that. And this will update automatically. It's a WebSocket connection. So this screen, if you have multiple tests, will have all your tests lined up here with the ones that's failing in red. The other thing that you have in dev UI is also an actual log file. So you can see the log straight in here as well. And then you can have stuff like clear the log file, and you can change the log levels and so on. Right, so that's continuous testing. Let me just fix that again. Okay. So I hope that was clear enough, and I'm not going too fast. There's a few other things that you can do when you run continuous testing, and you'll see if I press H, it will show it to you. So it will detect obviously if a test is changed or the code is changed. It will only rerun the tests that is affected by your change. So it knows that if I change this piece of code, these are the tests that I need to rerun. So it won't rerun all the tests because you could have quite a few tests, and this takes quite a while to rerun all the tests. You can manually rerun them by pressing R, or you can say only rerun the failed tests if you know that you fixed that specific test. Then you can toggle broken only mode, where if you have quite a lot of tests, you know that you're busy fixing a specific test. You can toggle broken only mode. Then it only runs the broken test until it's fixed. And then you have a few other commands. Like W should open the URL, and yeah, some other commands. Another thing that's quite interesting is you can't see it right here now, but if you get an exception in this log file, which is in your dev UI, you can actually click on the link, and it will open your IDE and take you to that place where the error is, which is quite handy as well. Okay, so that was continuous testing. Now I want to show you the native executable. So what I've done now is I've stopped it again. So up until now we've just run it in dev mode, and that's what you will typically use when you develop. But once your app is finished and you want to deploy it, you want to do something like Maven, and then you say p native, which is just a profile that will build a native executable. Now this takes quite a while because, as we've explained, that a lot of the work that typically would have happened on startup now happens on build time. So the time is moved from startup to build time, and especially if we build native executable, it takes quite a while. So this is going to take a while. If there are any questions in the meantime, I can answer those while we wait for this. Otherwise, we can just wait for it.
Hey Philip, I have a few questions for you. So
Yep.
you mentioned that Quarkus supports a lot of plugins and extensions, and it gives a Quarkus a great rich set of functionality. So
Yeah.
how do we as a developer start about developing some plugins and extensions for Quarkus?
So writing an extension is quite an experience. I've written a few, and it takes a while to get your head around it because you have to get into this concept of doing stuff during build time and doing stuff during runtime. And even during runtime, during build time, you can run code and create like the binaries for that piece of code that just gets executed on startup. But you must also remember that a normal library might just also work. So if you have a library that we don't have an extension for, you can still just include it in your application. And in JVM mode, it should just work. In native mode, you might have some issues, but you can also then get around the issues by just providing a file that describes a little bit some of the files that is, especially when it comes to reflective lookups and so on. So you don't always need an extension, but we also have a guide on extensions. Let me just see if I can quickly find it. There is a guide that says how to write an extension. If I can't find it, I'm sure somebody would find it. Oh, there it is, writing extensions. So there's actually quite a few guides that shows how to write an extension. Yeah. The other good thing that I would suggest is if you are keen to write an extension is maybe start by actually contributing to an existing extension and get to know how an extension works, do a few bug fixes in in an existing extension, and then you have like a baseline on how to start creating an extension.
Okay, that was really helpful. Thanks, Philip.
Yeah, I think I'm audible again. So yeah, there is a question by Bhavani Uday Singh, that is it possible for developers to use the dev mode for application that need to interact with the DB as well, and how does Quarkus work in such a use case?
Yeah, a very good question, and that's actually next. So after native execution, I'm going to show dev services where I'll pull in a database in dev mode and show how that works. But yeah, that any application will work in dev mode. Doesn't matter if you have a database or any other external services, Keycloak or Kafka or whatever, they all can work. And with dev services, we are busy making that even easier. So typically, if you have a database, you have to install the database and start the database and populate the database and set up the connections to it from your application so that you can start testing against it. And I'll next show how dev services help you with that, so that making that easier as well. So I'll answer this in a bit.
Cool, cool. There is also a question by Sonu Kushwaha. Can we know how to set up Quarkus locally? And can we have
I
a demo?
wondered, do you mean building Quarkus source code itself or in the Quarkus application? Because
I
the
think
Quarkus
that,
application, yeah.
yeah, I think there is also a question by him that can we have a demo using Kubernetes?
I don't have a demo ready for Kubernetes, so I can't show that. But again, we can just find the guide. There should be very good guides on that. I haven't prepared a Kubernetes, deploying Quarkus application on Kubernetes, and then using some of the Kubernetes extensions. There's guides on that too. So you'll see most things are just extensions. So to use Kubernetes, you can you just include the extension. But yeah, unfortunately I don't have it ready to show. In terms of the actual application, if the question was how to create an application, that's kind of what I've just shown now. And I think the easiest is actually this command line where you can just go Quarkus create app, or with the code.quarkus. If it is to get Quarkus running on your own machine, that's a different story, but it's also not that difficult. You basically clone the repo, check it out for yourself, and then do Maven clean install. And then you have a few hours actually to go have to do something else, because the initial build will take quite a while. Once it's built once, I think then you can do a quick build, which just figures out what has changed and build that, which takes about 3 minutes. But the initial build will take a few hours. And you can actually see, if you go to Quarkus GitHub repo, every time somebody do a pull request, we run a whole bunch of tests. And you'll see how it takes a few hours to run these tests or these builds. Okay, is there any more questions? Otherwise, the native build is done, so I can continue with my demo.
Yeah, that would be great, Philip. We can continue with the demo.
Okay, we'll do questions just now again. Right, so this build that I've just done is finished, the -p native. Like I said, it takes a while, but what we have now is I can do target, and then this world tour runner, which you can see it doesn't have an extension. This is a native Linux executable now, and it starts in 0.035 seconds. So I have that application that I've shown you is now up and running in native mode. Let's just see if it still works. So dev UI won't work because dev UI is only available when you run in dev mode. But I've made Swagger UI available, and the app should still work. And so this, because it can start up so quickly, you can see that this gives you the opportunity to actually, in a cloud environment, scale to zero, meaning that you don't use any resources, it doesn't cost you anything. And as the request comes in, you scale up to 1. It takes 0.035 to do that scale up. You serve the request and you scale down again. So it's much more efficient in terms of usage in a cloud billing model. And then the other option that you have is if you just do a normal Java, a normal Maven clean install, it will build a jar file, and then you can run it with Java -jar. And that itself also starts up very quickly, not as quick as the native executable, because it still runs the JDK, but still faster than any other Java application or framework out there. And it's your choice. I mean, you can still use the JDK on production. You don't have to use native. If startup time isn't, if you're not using serverless, then this might be an easier option for you. Okay, so this shouldn't take that long to build. It's running the tests again. Right, so now I should be able to do Java -jar and then target Quarkus app and Quarkus run. Right, so this took a while. I found that usually if you're busy doing screen share, it takes longer because your machine is very busy, but it should be less sub-second when it starts up, when you don't do screen sharing as well. Right, so that was native executable or native execution. So next I want to do the dev services, which is answering that question on a database. So to prepare that, I'm just going to, let's just stash all of these changes, and then I'm going to revert back my Git changes. So I don't have to code all of this live. So now you'll see that I have a few more things. So we still have our greeting resource, but what we have now is a rocker system that store rock bands, right? And we've defined a rock band, and you'll see that I'm using Panache entity, which is a specific Quarkus specific library that just makes database CRUD operations very easy. So you don't have to worry about how to do this or write any methods for it. You just have your entity extend Panache entity. And then you can write some methods if you have specific methods. Like me, I have a find by name, and then you'll see I call find, which actually comes from Panache entity itself. So I have all sorts of methods from superclass that I now have because I'm extending Panache entity. So all the CRUD operations, find, delete, update, list, you'll see that that's all there for you. So in our case, we have a rock band, and a rock band has many members. You'll see member is a very basic class. It just basically says I'm extending entity and I have a name and a role. And a role is just an enum. So then I can build my API now. My Rockers REST API. Why is it not open? Okay. So this is very similar to the greeting resource. It's just a JAX-RS endpoint. Sorry, let me do this. I keep on forgetting to do this. And now I can add some methods like a get that will list all the rock bands that we currently have. And again, because I'm using Panache, I have a list all method on rock bands, a static method that I can just call. And this will return a list of rock bands. And under the covers, it will be marshaled to JSON because, again, I have an extension that does that for me. Let me actually open that quickly. So what I've added was these two extensions to get the database. So the one is Hibernate ORM, which is the JPA part, and then with Panache. And then I said I'm going to use a Postgres database. And that's it. And then to do the marshalling to JSON, we have this Jackson extension added. I don't have a database running. I don't have any configuration with regards to that database. Let me show you my configuration file. So the only thing that I have is when it starts in dev mode, or in dev mode only, that's what this percentage dev means, that only when we start in dev mode, this will apply. And what I'm doing here is I'm saying, well, create a database for me with some initial values. And then I have this import file that just creates some rock bands so that we have some data to play with. And that's the only setup that I have in terms of a database. I don't have connection, how to connect to the database, or what the database is, and so on. Right, so if I start this app again in dev mode, Maven, you'll see that what we call dev services is going to happen in the background. So what's happening now is that we've seen that you added a Postgres database connection or extension. You haven't configured it, so we will give you, using test containers, a database, Postgres database. We will start it up. Once it's started up, we know what the URL is, and we will make it available for the application. So you don't have to do any of that. So what you'll see in the background, it will start a Docker container. Right, so you can see already there it's starting Docker. It will start the test containers, and it will start Postgres. So it figured all of that out based on the fact that you've added a Postgres extension. So if I now go back here, and you see my new API. I can get all the rockers that's there, which is the one that's been generated on startup by the import file. So there's all the rockers, the rock bands. And just to do a proper CRUD, I can now say, okay, let's add a band. Queen started somewhere around there. So I've added a band called Queen, and then I can add some members to that band. So let's say Queen, Freddie, and he's the lead vocals. Okay, so now I've added all the added a new band. So I've basically done a full kind of database flow now from a REST endpoint all the way to the database and back. And yeah, somewhere here will be Queen. And this is not only for databases. So we're busy adding other external services that developers might use, like Kafka. Recently in the 2.1 release that came out just 1 week ago, or in the past week, we added Keycloak. I can actually show you Keycloak if you're interested. So let's go back here. So as an example, to use Keycloak, which is typically quite a setup to set up your own Keycloak server and configure it and just to get security going. We can now do Quarkus OpenID Connect. Right, so this will pull in the OpenID Connect authentication mechanism, and because we don't configure anything, it should start up a Keycloak server using test containers. And while that's starting, I'll also show you something else. So what I've done with the demo, just to have a full blown from a website all the way to a database and back demo, as I've added in my resources meta-inf, I've added some static HTML and JavaScript files that gives us a front end on top of this REST API, which I'll also show you next. So here we should now see, yeah, so it's starting Postgres and it's starting Keycloak now because it sees that I need to authenticate. So just waiting for this to start. And then we'll go to Dev UI. Okay, still starting. It's definitely significantly slower when you demo while streaming as well. So what we want to do with Keycloak while this starts, let me explain this so long. So we want to, for instance, authenticate a user, get a token back, and then that's typically the token that you would use to secure your endpoints. So in your Java code, you will typically say add roles allowed / the group that is allowed to execute this endpoint, and then you'll get the Keycloak will manage your users for you, as an example. Right, so that's started. So now you'll see that I have this OpenID Connect tile. Let's close this. Again, I can go to the guides, but I can also now click on this. And then I can go to Keycloak admin. So this is the actual admin screen of the Keycloak that's been started for you. Or you can actually just test the user. So let's test Bob and Bob. And now you can see the token that's been generated for Bob, and I can actually copy that token and use it in my test. You can also test a specific endpoint. We don't have endpoint secure now, so it's not going to mean anything. But the important part is you have a very easy way to get security up and running using Keycloak. Okay, let me remove that and then lastly show you the, in fact, I don't think it can actually stay there. It doesn't really matter. I'll just show you the front end as well, and then we've seen a full-blown application from end to end. So while this starts, typically what you would do to secure your endpoint here is you would do, after you've added that, you would do roles allowed. And then say admin or whatever the group is that is allowed to do this. And then your REST endpoint will allow you to paste that token in. And if the user who belongs to that token is not in the group that is allowed to execute that method, you'll get a security exception back. Otherwise, it will execute. Okay, so lastly, we'll go to site. Now we have this nice UI with all our bands listed. I can delete or add. So we can remove a member from a band, or we can create a new band. So we can maybe create Queen again. Yeah, I'm going to select the proper date and then again add. And that's my demo. So I think if there's any questions, we can try and answer that. Or if there's anything that you want to see, maybe I can show you. Otherwise, yeah.
I believe, Flip, hope I'm audible, but I should say, I'm wondering why we are stopping the demo. I'm learning so much. Being even a known developer background, I'm excited because these are something, the use cases that I keep on encountering while I go to the customer. And as one of the question was also coming from Bhavani, which I hope he got to know, that is it possible for the developers to use the dev mode for the application to interact with the DB? Similar part when you mentioned about Keycloak, SSO, and other integration. And I guess being the solution architect, I always keep on hearing it, and we want to know more and more about it. And thanks for you to make the understanding of these demo quite easier. And while you bring something more, we have a question coming from Karthike, and let me take this opportunity to discuss. And Karthike is asking, how does Quarkus integrate with serverless or cloud functions in the cloud environment?
Yep. Again, I don't have a demo on that. I'm actually also not an expert on that. But there is, let me get to the Quarkus.io.
And for all the viewers, I have pasted the links in the video description as well. Please do check that out. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, Bill.
So cloud. Yeah. So there's, for instance, Lambda from Amazon, Azure Functions. There should be one for Google. So all the guides are there. Like I said, I'm not an expert. I haven't even done this myself, so I'm not sure how it works. Quarkus is way too big to know or to be involved in everything. There's actually a video series called Quarkus Insights that I think it runs weekly or maybe bi-weekly. I can't remember. But there was a Quarkus Insight sessions on the specific serverless question. So maybe go check that out. That should show you how easy it is.
And I guess this should help majorly. I guess Karthik, I know because Amazon Lambda, or if you talk about Amazon Function, talking about Vertex or web server, I guess these guides are quite good. And all the viewers, I have pasted the link in the video description to do check it out, Quarkus.io, and how to get contribute, and all the links are there. And I'll keep on adding it so you won't miss any information on that side as well.
So maybe also check out. No, sorry. Let me just quickly mention this Funky as well, which is a function library that gives you a cross-platform function library. So you can write your function and then deploy it. It won't be specific to Amazon or specific to Google. So it just extracts you a little bit to not be tied into the cloud provider. Which is also something to check out maybe. I know that there's some videos around that as well.
That sounds interesting, I guess. So people do check it out this and let me know your feedback as well. So another question coming, Philip, which is from Anand, saying the hot reload feature is something that is very popular and demanded among developers. So could you briefly explain how Quarkus achieved this hot reload functionality?
It's mostly magic. No, I'm just joking. I actually don't know too much about it because I didn't write this. So I'm not too sure how it works. I know that there's a lot of class path manipulation going on in the background. So it's basically just replacing the classes in the class path and detecting when it changes and understanding which ones change to update the correct ones. The other thing that that's when it does a very hot reload, so it didn't even restart. The other thing that it does do is it actually just restarts your app, and because it starts so fast, it's actually viable. So if it detects a change that it can't do a proper hot reload, it will just restart the app, and the app starts fast enough that you won't notice.
I hope, Anant, you get the part. Sonu has one more question, Philip, for you. What are the dependency injections? Okay.
So dependency injection is the ability to inject a dependency rather than creating a new one. In our case, we use CDI, which is a specification from Jakarta EE. And there should be some very good guides around that as well. But it's basically the inversion of control pattern that's quite popular in terms of software development. So to control your dependencies. So rather that I need to know, I need to go and create a dependency, the dependency can inject itself into my code. So if I look here, do we have any examples? We don't have any examples here, but I can actually quickly show one. So let's say I want to write a new hello service. What I can do is I can give it a scope. So in my case, I'll make it application scoped. Now, the scope is basically just when this dependency is going to be injected, what scope will it have? An application scope dependency would share state between the whole application. And for instance, the request scope one will be per request. So that's just kind of the scope of this bean that can be injected. And then I can say string message hello. All right. So any normal method in here, but now I want to use this hello service. Now, rather than doing hello service equals new hello service, it constructs it. If you inject it, it would first have the ability to be scoped, like I've explained, and it can actually pull these beans because the expensive thing is creating a new object in Java. So if you have things that's already in a pool, that can just be injected. So now I can anywhere else where I want to use it, I can say at inject and then hello service. Give it a name. And now I will now be able to call any method on here, service.message, right? But I never had to use the new keyword, right? Because the clause has just been injected by me. It's a big topic. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to answer it properly, but yeah, go read up on CDI. In Quarkus, the implementation is called Arc. So in the dev UI, you would have seen. Okay, I've stopped the application. But there's it shows all the beans because what we do in Quarkus, we optimize this beans as well because a lot of the times you create beans that you only need on startup. So if we can move that to build time, we don't need that class in your class loader anymore. So we remove certain beans and it just makes the actual deployable unit much lighter. I hope that answers it. It's a big topic,
Right.
injection.
I guess this even can be converted into a single session itself, talking a lot about it because I can get the feel out of it when you try to explain. I guess that definitely require a separate dedicated session. But Sonu, again, thank you
Yeah.
so much for bringing that question up. Yeah. So, Flip, we have a last question that we'll take, and then we have some like fun session for you and Soumya, and post that we'll take on that part. So, Rudra has one question saying, does Quarkus application uses any authenticate module to authenticate the user for connecting any types of endpoints, maybe in public or protected endpoints?
Well, I've shown the keycloak one, but you don't have to use keycloak. You could use any authentication provider. You can use basic authentication. You can, again, if we go to the guides, there's a whole section just on security. There's quite a few models of security that you can use. So JWT tokens or OAuth or, like I said, basic. You'll see all of the guides here that shows all the different ones. I'm not sure if that answers the question. From a coding point of view, typically you would mostly always add roles allowed, which is part of the JDK. So you know that you have it. And then the configuration of how do we set the context, the security context happen based on one of these other security models that you are using.
No worries. I hope Rudra gets that part. And if you still have, please feel free to reach out to me and I can ask Soumya or Philip to help more and we'll give you the answer as well. So with that, I believe we don't have any question left. But Flip, people enjoyed your session thoroughly, to be honest. And while you were doing the demo, we were enjoying the chat. The people were giving a huge shout out, and people were enjoying about you. They excited the session. They were quite excited, and I hope the same goes with the vibe as well. So while viewers and Rudra just mentioned that, okay, thanks. I guess he got the answer and he got the idea what he was trying to ask. So with that, thank you so much, Philip, for the demo. But we don't want you to leave right now, and we want to
Okay.
bring Soumya again on the screen. And hey, Soumya, how are you? Okay,
Okay,
you
I
are
was on
unmuted.
mute. Yes.
Yes.
So, hi, I'm
Okay.
back. Yeah.
Yeah, so wonderful means the knowledge is always up and good,
Yeah.
but what not, Philip? So when we decide, like always, we talk about Cheers with Gaurav. It's all about making some fun element to it with the learning because people always talk about technology and they drive by it. So what I have is something is sort of a three to four, a sort of a rapid fire questions for you all. Like just talking about one thing which I want to ask you all. Like one example is like your favorite color, so you need to be very, very honest and like if it can be fired, I guess that is good. So Philip, over to your first question. Like, which is your favorite color?
Green.
Green. Soumya,
Blue.
blue. Awesome. So Quarkus, and that makes a rapid fire for sure. So what? Which is your favorite cuisine, Soumya?
Favorite skin? I didn't.
Cuisine. Food
Okay.
item
Okay.
or something. Yeah.
Okay. Uh, Not sure. Oh God, this was very fast. I'm
What do
passing
you
it to Philip.
prefer?
Um,
Hi.
anything with, for me, anything with meat. In South Africa, we prepare meat on fire quite often, so
Yeah.
we call it braai. So we prepare meat on fire. Yeah, any
Okay.
meat.
Awesome, awesome. And how about the favorite go-to drink? Means anytime you always prefer to have that. Means you are up and ready.
Coffee.
Coffee. Oh man, I
Yeah, for
guess
this
sure to
coffee.
you.
Hmm, yeah.
I'm also having my black coffee near to me when I always do the session. So all good. Okay, so Soumya, where would you go if you were invisible?
Oh my God. um, Mountains. I don't know why.
Mountains. Okay, and Flip, what you would do?
I don't know. Um, I don't know. Maybe some secret government meeting to see what they're talking about. I don't know. I have no idea.
Nice.
Nice. That was really good. Okay, so Philip, what is your biggest addiction?
Well, apart from the coffee, um,
Mhm.
I love music. So I like,
Oh,
I've been writing code for 20 plus years, and all of those years I usually have my earphones on and usually have music blaring. So I have quite a wide variety of music taste. So I would say, yeah, music, and then it's just, yeah. I mean, I have a small kid, a daughter, 3-year-old daughter that I just love to bits, and yeah, I'll say I'm addicted to her.
okay, that's really
Lovely
good.
answer.
What about you?
Y-
What is your biggest
yes.
addiction?
Yes. So being a developer, like coffee is there. Apart from that, like books are something which I always look forward. Like there are some books which are like stories are pending and I have to complete. I mean the thriller part, these like suspicion, everything, etc. The mystery is all I love. So yeah.
Right. Okay, so Soumya, next up is what is the one item you could never live without?
Maybe my laptop.
How about you, Philip?
Yeah, my laptop.
Definitely, we all are at this point of time for sure. We cannot live without our laptops. With that, I guess now it's high time to bring our team back on the screen. We had really fun. So, Ananya, Karthike, Anant, do you guys have fun questions for Philip and Soumya as well?
Basically, we were thinking of some questions and then we posted it on chat already. So
Already asked.
Yeah, so that is fine. Means talking about when we say technology, I guess it's a never-ending curve. We all were discussing about we know more and more. Soumya did the very basic part, and that was well received. And also, when Philip talked about the demo, people went crazy. They were listening to it. We also during the stream we touched more than 300 plus live concurrent viewers, and I guess that itself marked that how people well received it. So thanks to you all. But apart from that fun. Okay, is there anything that you want to say to Soumya and Philip as well before we do some traditional moment of cheers with Gaurav? So, Ananya, do you want to say anything to both of them?
Yeah.
No, nothing. Oh my God, means you're still diving in the seat of like, okay, I'm still learning. Karthikeyan, your smile is saying something. Yeah,
Yeah, I definitely want to thank both Soumya and Philip for joining us today. So, beginning with Soumya, your introduction to Quarkus was really something that I learned a lot from. And for you, Philip, I'm actually looking forward to working on Quarkus from now on going forward. So, one last question for you is both of you is that going forward, how do you see that? What kind of future does Quarkus have?
From my side, the Quarkus team keeps on trying to innovate and following basically where our users wants us to go, and specifically cloud-related things. We focus on making things for the developer easier and easier. So configure stuff automatically, especially now with dev services. So for example, I haven't shown it because it doesn't exist yet, but um, once you have a Keycloak server up and running, it should actually just already authenticate you with your REST endpoint as well. And so you don't have to set up that configuration. So we integrate all of these extensions better so that it's just very, very easy to get going. We're extending the dev UI quite a lot to add more tools to make it easier. We're doing a lot on the tools side so that you can create your app better and easier, upgrade your app better and easier. Yeah, I think that's it from my side.
Yeah, I completely agree to what Philip said. Like, Quarkus is all for devs to make things easy, to make things quick and fast. So, yeah, stay tuned for all the updates, for all the new releases that Quarkus is coming up with. Like, you can check out Twitter handle of Quarkus. All updates will be there. And indeed, like, there are many interesting things coming up. So, yeah.
Thank you so much.
absolutely. Anand, how about you?
yeah, so I will not ask some kind of technical question or about the future of Quarkus, but the thing is, we know that Gaurav sir is like very fond of traveling. So like Philip, it's been like you said, like you have been in Red Hat for a very long time. So are you also into traveling and stuff? Because like Soumya has just joined, I know. So for due to COVID, she's not able to do that. But for Philip, like
Yeah, I
how
love
many
traveling.
countries?
I've been all over. You can see the map in the background here. So I actually have dots on the map for where I've been. Yeah, I've been in quite a few places. It's usually a mix of business and pleasure. India is still on my to-do list. So hopefully one day, once the lockdowns are something of the past, I'll get to travel again. But yeah, I love traveling, both myself and with my family.
So like, which is the like
Yes.
best place you have visited so far? Like some place you would like to visit as soon as this COVID thing and lockdown thing gets over.
Um, yeah, I guess that depends. My best holiday was in Switzerland skiing because we don't see snow in South Africa that often because it's too hot. So a holiday in Switzerland skiing was definitely up there as one of the best things I've done. Um, but yeah, I mean, I guess just the experience to experience cultures and how people live. Actually, my next one should be something new because that's the fun part.
I
Right.
think Soumya will also you know go somewhere as soon as this thing gets off.
Of course, yeah, of course. Like when like everything will open up, like we will not be no more virtual. Then of course there are. I have prepared a long list where I have to go, and literally like where most of the Quarkus devs, like my team is there. I really want to that place, maybe a sort of meetup or something with all other Quarkus developers. Okay, I'm looking forward to many things. The list is long. Yeah.
I guess do include me in that list. Please take me away. Whether I do contribute to Quarkus or not, I'm up ready for the traveling as well. So, yeah.
You
And
people
thank you
can ping
so
me
much.
anytime. I'll be ready.
Yes, we all are ready. So I guess Philip is gonna come to India. At least now, Philip, trust me, you have the company to whom you just ping us, and we will be right there to travel all across in India because we are also dying to just go out and there and explore India places which we haven't, or even if we have some network to explore more and more. I guess so. We all can join you if you allow
Thank you.
us. But having said that, definitely you have some point here in India to contact, and we are up ready for the like amazing meet in person as well.
Thank you. Appreciate
So
that.
yeah, with that, I guess I can sum up the entire part in two quotes. I guess for Soumya, for you, I have always seen you guiding many students here in India. Uh, you are always up to take the opportunity, and I whenever I have met you, I guess I have always told you one thing, that if your action inspires other to dream more, learn more, do more, or become more, you are a leader. And thank you so much for guiding us on the very basics of Quarkus getting started, and people thoroughly enjoyed it. And I personally loved and learned more and more from you, the way do all these activity, and you are always up for grabbing the opportunity and passing it on to all the needy ones. And thank you so much for doing. And Philip, interacting with you for the first time, and how you we appreciate that on the weekends you pull out this time. The entire team cheers with Gaurav. I can say one thing for you, that leader instill in their people a hope of success and belief in themselves. And positive leaders like you empower people to accomplish their goals. So thank you so much, Philip, for accepting our request on behalf of entire team. Cheers with Gaurav from here in India, and to you, Soumya,
Thanks.
for guiding us through the podcast session. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Pleasure is all mine. Yeah.
Same here. Thank you very much.
Yes, but before we leave, so Philip, here in India, when we all are excited and when we are done with the event and we love and learn a lot, we simply jump out of chair. And I guess why not in India? I guess everywhere we does this. But what we do, as we are not here in person and we cannot play some loud music and all, but at least we can do one thing. So basically, in India, when we do something good and we are jumping out of chairs, we do simply bale bale. Okay, so you have to say it with us. Just raise your like pull up these fingers, and you have to do just like arms like this, bale bale, and we'll say
Bele
it
bele.
right. Bale bale.
Yay.
Okay, so guys, all of you, please, Anand, Kartike, Ananya, Soumya, please join us, and let's do and capture this moment before we ends up our stream for the day. Okay, so on count of one, two, three. So three, two, one. Bale bale.
Balle,
Bele
balle.
bele.
Pele, pele. Yeah.
Ah, yay. Okay. So thank you so much, everyone, all the viewers. So, Philip, last word from you. Any piece of advice that you want to give to all our viewers, please?
Um, well, first of all, thank you for the opportunity, and I had fun. Yeah, please, if you are interested to get involved with Quarkus, start contributing. You can also start contributing in one of the side projects, because Quarkus is really made up of a bunch of other projects. I myself is mostly involved with Small Rai and Microprofile, which gives you some of the extensions in Quarkus, and that might be an easier start because it's smaller projects. I work on Small Rai GraphQL. There's a bunch of issues, so there's a lot of help needed there. But yeah, just get involved. Anything. Don't be scared to ask questions or get involved.
Thank you, Soumya. Anything you want to add for all the viewers who are watching this video? Yeah.
Yes, first of all, thank you so much to the entire CWG team for having us, for giving us the opportunity, and to all the audience out there. Like, I'm also very young, and literally, there is so much to explore for all of us. So, if you want to contribute to any open source project, just go and like fork the repo and like look into the issues And even if you don't know the tech stack, learn them, because that's how I am doing things. So keep learning and keep contributing to the open source project, because for me, literally, open source has been like game changer. I have learned a lot from so many open source communities out there. People are so helping. They always try to help you in becoming a better version of yourself. So yes, keep learning and keep contributing. And yeah, wish you all like happy friendship day. It's friendship day today. And yeah, that's all from my side.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Anand, Karthik, Ananya, anything you want to add for all the viewers? Or you want to share any experience, any thought on it?
Okay. There are too many things to share. I would say, like for the Quarkus part, I would suggest you all to rewatch the session once again to get, there is chance that you might have missed something, or there is something important you should have listened, but you must, like you just forgot. So like go to the session once again, and maybe you can play it on 1.5x speed. That will be fine also. And also, do drop your comments if you find anything interesting in the comment section after this, after this live session, and we'll be happy to take that, answer those comments as well.
Absolutely. And how about Karthik? Anything, Karthik, you want to add?
Yeah, so this Quarkus World Tour had been on our list for quite some time, and we are really happy that we could host it for the first time in India. And first of all, we'd like to thank the Quarkus World Tour team for for joining us here in India. And for our audience, I would like to add on what Soumya already mentioned: never stop learning, and keep growing. That's how we all will grow. And also, since it's Friendship Day, so let us all come together as a one big friends group and start contributing to the source.
Right. Thank you, Ananya.
Yeah, sure. So,
Done.
first of all, thank you so much, Philip and Soumya, for this astounding session for this. And happy Friendship Day to everyone.
Right. So, as everybody is mentioning about friendship, I just want to say two things: that make two types of your friends always. One who never ever gonna take a weapon in his hand or her hand during the war, and he's gonna guide you or she's gonna guide you throughout it. And second one, make sure you have some friends along with you, whether they know it already that you are gonna get defeat, but they are not gonna leave your side. So, for me, a good objective of friendship is to help those who are doing poorly to do well, and to help those who are doing well to do even better. And that was the whole objective of bringing this Quarkus World Tour to India. Many people knows about Java, but they don't know what community is doing. So we tried and bringing this, and I'll keep on doing it, and committed to my friendship that yes, we'll keep on exploring new and new opportunity every single day. And with that, I guess we conclude our Quarkus World Tour India stop. And thank you so much once again to all the viewers, to our guest speakers, and to the entire Quarkus World Tour team for giving us this opportunity to host it. Hope you glad and hope you like it. And I guess I have that selfie moment for me to grab it. So, guys, thank you so much. Cheers, peace, and keep loving and supporting to all of us. And with that, thank you so much, Flip and Soumya, once again for guiding us throughout the entire session. Right. And with that, we conclude it. And more interestingly, please like, share, and subscribe to Cheers with Gaurav for more exciting session and update. You will be listening out throughout. And if you like the session, capture any favorite moment of yours, post it on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, wherever you can find me, Flip, Soumya, Anant, Kartike, Ananya. Do tag us. We'll retweet for you, repost on LinkedIn, comment, share your experience, and ask your friends and empower them with the knowledge, with the support. And as I said, keep learning, keep hustling, keep growing, and keep sharing with the honesty. Till the next time, cheers with Gaurav, signing off, guys. Bye bye.